that way up, just whilst I work on the masking areas. Again, I'm going to use my little chisel shaped one because I want to mask off all of the flowers here, which are going to be sharp edged against the background, which is going to be wet into wet. So these will be hard edged. When I paint the purples and deeper colours around it and greens, these will remain hard edged so that I can have a sharp against the soft wet into wet background to make it appear out of focus in the background and focus here in the foreground. What I want to do, because I'm going to paint the darker colours in between here, just leave these light areas showing, that's about it, because all the rest is going to be wet into wet in the background. So on to our last butterfly, the peacock, of our prettiest indigenous species. We start again with the lightest colours. I'm going to use my rate and start off with the lightest colour, which is going to be in this case the Aureolin yellow. We don't use too much of it because we want a very thin coat. We know it's going to dry lighter anyway, but even so, we don't want to overdo it. That's coming down that same mixture into those two spots there. And there's some blue happening in there as well, so I'm just going to lift out a little bit of that there and go back in there with a little bit of the cerulean. Again, we can let one thing blend into another carefully. See how quickly this paint's drying in this conservatory there. Coming down to the lower part with that cerulean, the same. And we'll look at the blue that's going on in there. I'm not going to paint those little dots in because I'm going to be going over those shortly with a darker colour anyway, so what's the point? Little bits in just to give it a little extra warmth, which will then make the cool seem cooler. Put a warm in there, then the cools will be cooler. Put a cool in the warm and seem warm. As rough next to smooth, light next to dark, and so on. But we let those dry off a bit. Orangey purple colour here. Now how am I going to do that? Well, I figure again I'm going to start with my cadmium orange, which is a lovely colour for that, and just drop that whole thing in with cadmium orange. Some rose to that first of all, and let's see if that gives us this cool red that I want. I think I'm going to have to go right down to alizarin actually to get this colour I want. Now I was saying I wanted a much stronger cool into that, a cool red into that. I'm going to put some alizarin crimson in. And let's see what a difference that makes. You see now that's a much different red altogether. It's getting a cool red compared to the one we've already got, which I want to let go in there, just dropping it in so it spreads out on its own. And then it just wants to be blended in with a little clean water softly. A combination of wet on dry and wet into wet there. And we need a bit more warmer colour, so I'm going to come down with some raw sienna. And when we do one side we'll do the other as well, just like we did with the drawing. Almost finished that wing in one go, you see. And this bit is lighter again. We're coming down to our Aureolin yellow again. We're almost ready for our darks now. I'm going to go into a little bit darker, but not too dark yet. And a little burnt sienna, where it's a bit warmer just here. And that will want just blending very slightly around it to the abdomen. Right, we let that dry off a little bit. While that's drying, we can look at any areas that are dry enough to work on. I'm not happy with that, that's spreading out too far, so I've got to very quickly suck that off. I use the brush to get it away fast, and hopefully we can stop it spreading out. So there are ways to control things that go wrong. Face shape, it's quite predominant. We'll take it back a bit later on, not it showing out too much. It really is very dark, but I'm not using black. I do not like black. I have to only use black if I really have to. Prussian blue is good. Indigo is black and Prussian blue anyway, but I prefer. Got a lovely glow there, and when we put the deep green, warm greens and cool greens behind, we'll see this butterfly really stand out far more. So we just need a little bit more blending to do there. Now we're ready for the background. Thing to glow at the end, and if we don't get the right colours now, it's not going to do so. Right, so let's leave it at that for there. We'll just come back on that later, and we'll look at these areas here. I'm going to use my mop straight away and put in a very deep blue and deep purple straight away. I'm going to put in the ultramarine, lovely blue, straight through here. And that's going to shine nicely against this butterfly soon. And then into that ultramarine we're going to drop some even deeper purple. In a sort of speckly fashion. But look how gorgeous that is. This painting will definitely sell, because people love these colours. And so do I. Wait till you see this masking fluid lifted on this. You'll see what I mean then when we put the cobalt violet back in shortly. It'll all make sense. Lost it again. Burnt sienna. And lost some sap green into that. I won't mix the green entirely myself this time. I'll cheat a bit. And look at that lovely browny green we can get with that. Very slight vignette coming out of there, so we'll put clean water all the way around here and let it blend into that. Lift off these colours in a minute. Again, I want to go darker yet into there. I'm not happy with that yet. Prussian and burnt sienna, so that we can go really quite dark around here. You can see now we're playing some hard edges against the soft as well to get the feeling of leaves. Now we just let that dry off. Okay, the paint's still a little bit damp there, but the rest of it should be dry enough, so we'll take away the fluid. It's only around these areas anyway. Some cobalt violet. That's better, but it's much lighter, more delicate colour on there. And above here, you notice it's a bit browner. There's a lot of these buddlier flowers are dying off, so I'm going to have to put in a bit more of a warmer gold at the top here. And you see that lovely effect we can get so quickly just by having done the masking fluid. I'm going to darken these a little bit more. I'm quite happy with it apart from that, but I just don't think they quite have that richness that I would like. So I'm going to try and drop in a little more purple into those, because they are a little bit darker than that. I just want to lighten the edge there, so I'm taking the paint actually away from that edge with a damp brush, just to lighten up that. I think as well I'd like to just deepen that yellow a fraction on the creams. Not a lot, but I'd like there to be a little more yellow in